Welcome to the Complete Game Podcast, where we're all about baseball with Ethan Dungan, owner of Glovehound Baseball Glove Repair Shop, Rick Finley, founder of MD&I Baseball Academy, and the creator of George Foster Baseball, the MVP himself, Reds Hall of Famer George Foster. I'm your host, Greg Dungan. Now let's talk baseball. All right, welcome to episode 5. The topic today is practice.
Practice. Talk about practice. Not the game, but practice.
Yes, Mr. Iverson, we are talking about practice. We're going to start out with name 5, and we're going to start off with name 5 elements that should be part of every practice, every effective baseball practice. So, Ethan, why don't you kick us off with your first one?
So my first thing that needs to be part of every practice is dynamic warm-up, because too often I see just static warm-up and you're just going to stand there and kind of, touch your toes, reach across a little bit and then start throwing. And that doesn't get your whole body warmed up. It doesn't help you with your agility or your footwork at all. And so I think it can lead itself to more injuries because your whole body's not ready to participate in the practice.
Cool. George, what did you have on your
But that's good, getting the body warmed up for the activity. But I stress, people say, why are you stressing running, stressing it? Why don't you talk about hitting or things as such? But running is the integral part of the game. You got to run when you're on defense and offense. So teaching these kids how to run, not just go out there and knowing that you're going from one spot to another, but teach them how to get there. Synchronize their legs with their arms when they're running, and being able to run in a straight line. A lot of these guys they're not able to run in a straight line. They're going zigzag, and you can advance a base learning how to run, like running the bases. You want to tag the inside part of the base and have those knees waist high because you're going to have a longer stride. Yeah. But we do a lot of the running, although the kids complain about it, but that's part of my practice. Yeah. But also I let them know why.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
A lot of times they're complaining because they don't know why. Yes. So, but the one thing I would say, if you want to be a team player, I stress it, be a team player, you need to run because you're being able to advance to that next base. So that's one thing that a lot of coaches may not stress during practice or before practice is running. Mm-hmm. I run before, and then I do sprints afterwards. You run the bases afterwards, and because you're getting acclimated to what you're going to do during the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes it so much more fun to know why you're running. Because if you're just lined up running from point A to point B with no mind towards how it translates to the game, then it becomes a chore.
That's the key.
Right. But if you know why you're doing it, then you're leveling up and you're getting better as a player, and that's way more fun.
And also, too, with running, you can play multiple positions, too. Mm-hmm. So our outfielders could play infield, play angles and be athletic and be agile enough to be able to get play angles, Mm-hmm. So running is great, man.
Well, the other, along the lines of what George was saying, you talk about being a good teammate. Like, you can't get there to help your teammates if you can't run and get there efficiently. Like, if you are in a specific situation, like you're playing the outfield and you got to cover ground to get to a ball or you got to back up the guy who's next to you. You can't get there and efficiently do your job and back him up and help him out if you can't get there efficiently. Right. So, to be that support for your other teammates, you got to be able to move quickly and efficiently.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Rick.
Okay, a third one, since we've got proper dynamic warm-ups, we've got doing base running and sprint work. Now, since the body is warmed up, now we can long toss, throwing, and work on throwing catch mechanics. Mm-hmm. And that's real important. A lot of kids don't know, especially if you're playing infield, they don't know how to develop they throwing catch mechanics very well. They'll open up this side instead of, I always say, have your chest and shoulders towards who you throwing with, and quick hands drill.
Keep their feet completely still. Like, you got to move your feet.
Yes, you got to move towards the ball.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And so a lot of kids don't know how to deflect either. I work on that a lot, either with the short gloves, and I see myself doing that a lot. So I show them how to deflect. I use a pad at times. I say, man, how you able to do that, man? Hey, I work on it. That's why.
But I think that's important because I was a part of a lot of practices where we would go and do some sort of little warm up and then immediately just grab a partner and throw for a period of time and then move on to the rest of practice. And there was no thought towards why we were throwing, the different aspects of throwing and catch, like you're talking about, listening to your body, trying to feel out how your arm feels. You know, if you're in a mid-season practice, you know, you played, 3 or 4 games in the weekend before, you're going to play 3 or 4 more, listen to your body. Don't just go out there and wear your arm out for no reason. Do it with a purpose.
Exactly.
But 3 things I stress in throwing is, number 1, move your feet.
Yes.
And then throwing, you play and catch, throw a 4-seamer, not a 2-seamer.
Yes.
And the other one is, I see a lot, but they feel that it's not a big deal if they catch the ball on the glove side or their throwing side. I want them to catch the ball on the throwing side. And I tell them why, because you can get rid of the balls quicker. And I was asking one kid, I said, one year this kid led the league in assists, and the next year he didn't. What happened? Well, the answer is the fact that they stopped running on him because he's able to get the ball back to the infield quicker. But before, when I played or seeing outfielders catch the ball on their glove side, I know during a game they catch a fly ball and I'm in a situation to advance to the next base. I'm going because I know they're not going to get the throw off as soon as quickly.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing that you build that foundation in practice.
Right.
And it translates.
It's automatic.
Exactly.
Second nature, instinct.
Well, and what you guys are all bringing up is the idea that there are a lot of different skills and specific things that you can practice just while you're throwing.
Right.
So while you're throwing and warming up, you can practice transfers. You can practice which side. You can practice footwork. You can practice, lots of things that you can build into that time, rather than say, all right, everybody go out there, get a partner, and just throw for 10 minutes.
Right.
And while I get, sit here and make notes and talk to the people.
It's
and,
like danger, because the balls are going all over the place.
Yeah. So actually give some structure to that time.
Yes.
We're gonna throw, and here's what I want. I want you to work on this for so many minutes. I want you to work on this, and structure that time so that we're not just flinging balls all over the place and the guys are getting bored and throwing knuckleballs at each other and all kind of crazy
There's
stuff.
a purpose.
Yes. Throwing catch mechanics. So you have a long arm from the outfield, okay? And you got a short arm mechanics from the infield, okay? And also with your catcher. So understanding and teaching those throwing mechanics to different positions is very important. And I hone on that because kids need to know, especially at the younger, it got a long arm, especially in the infield. And a lot of guys just don't know how to just separate here at midline, to especially in the infield. So, and also, while you're throwing, you got all different types of. You got the do or die play. You got the sidearm, and then you got the over the top throws. So you got to practice all of those mechanics, man, because it comes, like George was saying, it comes second nature. If you charging, man, you off here, boom. So those are, I think, throws that kids need to work on continuously.
Yeah, my encouragement to coaches would be, as a dad who's watched I don't know how many practices in my lifetime, try and build some know-how and some reasoning and some structure into every bit of the time you have. You've only got a couple hours.
Yeah,
so
put that quality in there.
Yeah, get that. Try not to have time where you're like, okay, everybody just go do this thing, and without knowing why or without instruction in the process. Parents are looking to you to develop their child.
Yes.
They're looking to see their child learn new skills. They want to get in the car afterwards and say, what did you learn today?
Right.
And have the kid say, we worked on this, we worked on this. They don't want the kid to get in the car and say, we ran for a while, we drew for a while, same thing we did last time, and whatever. So just keep that in mind, because the parents are looking for development. You guys are looking, coaches are looking for lots of different things. They want to develop players. They want to win ball games. They want to do a lot of different things. Parents really only care about whether you're developing their kid. Right. That's what they want. Right. And so, to keep that in mind and have some thought.
It's important for the coaches to learn as much as possible so they can impart it to the kids. And and not just being out there labeled as a coach and say, here's the ball and bat, you guys entertain yourselves.
You're not the babysitter.
Right, right.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that leads me to my first thing, which is baseball IQ, building baseball IQ into everything that you do. Being able to say, okay, here's the situation. Stop, freeze. What happens next? You got the ball.
Yeah.
Where are you going
Right.
with that ball?
Yes,
What are you going to do here? Okay, if he's going to do this, what does that make you do? If he does this, what are you doing? The idea that anytime somebody is doing something on the field, everybody else should be doing something
Right.
in response
Right.
or in preparation for what's about to happen or what just did happen. And so everybody should be able to give an answer. Even if you're standing out in right field and the ball is at third base, what are you thinking? What are you doing?
Right.
How does that work? So, are you coming in to back up first base? Are you doing what are you doing? And that is when you engage the brain in every aspect of what you're doing, it quits being work and it starts to be fun. And you start to see the point in what you're doing. And when they get back in the car and the parent says, what did you talk about? You say, well, I learned something today. I learned that if I'm here and this happens, I need to be thinking about doing this thing and that happens. Now, wouldn't it be great if all teenagers actually talk that much to their parents?
Right.
But they could.
I'm hungry, Mom.
Yes.
All right, Ethan, what you got?
My next one is drills that facilitate communication, because that is something that lacks
That's what I got.
at seemingly every level.
It is.
Facilitate. Write that down.
But trying to find a way to build that communication practice into the drills. So, you have your fly balls and you have your outfielders talking. You got your Bermuda triangles. You got those three guys talking. You're doing relays and from the outfield in, from outfield to third base to home, and catcher trying to direct the third baseman, or you got double cutoffs, all that kind of stuff that requires communication. And I think if you spend a little bit of time practicing that will.
That's number one on my list.
You have to practice that.
You do.
And then in order for it to translate into the game.
Yes.
Yeah, the number of times I've heard coaches, laying into their kids, I don't hear any chatter out there. Nobody's talking out there. Nobody's talking. Why would they? Because you haven't told them what to say. You haven't told them why.
Exactly.
You haven't told them,
Yes.
So here's the thing. If you're a player, okay, and you're in the field, there are a few things that you can yell out at any time, and no one's going to wonder if you have Tourette's, okay? You can just yell them out. You can say how many outs there are. You can say what the pitch count is. You can say how many runners there are. Right. At any given time,
Should be. Yeah.
You can call out what the batter did last time if you can remember it.
Yes.
You'd be the hero if you can remember that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Where did that batter hit that ball last time? Last time went to left field. Everybody slide over.
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
Talk to a teammate. Say,
Yes.
I got you.
That's
You got
the
me.
key.
I'm going to go here. You go here.
That's the baseball.
Son and
IQ
share.
of
I got
everything.
you, babe.
Yeah, everything hinges on being able to talk to one another. And I'll tell you what, it would be downright intimidating if your team talks constantly on the field. When they're playing another team that doesn't talk, like most teams don't talk,
what I stress.
they'll be like, whoa, these guys talk all the time. It's intimidating.
It is. And that's what I stress. I stress it. I played like that. So I play like I coach,
But I tell the kids, it's not a library. You're allowed to talk.
Yes.
Where are we? It's George's
You're right,
turn.
George.
My turn. I'm batting third. Batting fourth. So situational play. I love doing situational play, especially not only infield, outfield, but knowing where to throw the ball, how many outs. What's the situation? You're on first base as on defense, and the guy's on first base, and the ground ball's hit. What's your first move? What are you thinking about? You're not going to just hold the ball and it's one out. You're going to throw to second base. So you got to practice those things in practice, so to speak, so that in the game situation, you don't hesitate. Once you start hesitating, now you're giving that other team more than 3 outs per inning. And the other one is that it stands out at who's going to be the cutoff man. Yes. Each team has a different aspect. I want to say a ball coming from left field, the third baseman is going to be the cutoff man. Ball come from center or right, the first baseman is the cutoff man.
Yes.
But sometimes you have that first baseman running way over to third base to cut off. I said, that's too far to go.
Yeah.
And I was on the brink of teaching softball, but they wanted the pitcher to be the cutoff. But I want the pitcher to be backing up. Right. So like we said earlier before, there's a place that you need to be.
Yes.
But you don't know until somebody tells you where to go. And I said, right away, I said, well, this is the way we're doing it. Because they're going to say, well, my coach, my dad, or I saw somebody on the major league level. I said, okay, this is what we're going to do here. And it's fun, though. When I played, I knew there was someplace I needed to be, and it was exciting. It's okay, it's on, the race is on. Ball, I'm playing left field, ball hit down the right field line. Where should I be? Should I be over there signing autographs or making friends with someone who's with Chick-fil-A or things and such? So, but I'm backing up third base, but the third base coach doesn't know I'm there, and the ball get past third. Even though it does not happen, you know you need to be there. But that's come back to running. You got to have the legs ready, and that's exciting for me because before a game, I always run my 4 sprint, foul pole to foul pole. People are like, oh, it's too hot out here. But you got to get your mind, your body ready for the game. Right. But situational play can win or lose a ball game for you.
But I want to build off of that when you said, well, this is how we do it.
Right.
Yes. Every team is going to be different. You're going to have a different amount of plays that you run for different scenarios. You're going to have just different ways you like to do things. So maybe on a bunt coverage, maybe you like to run a wheel. Maybe you don't run a wheel. Maybe first and third, you like to try to do the thing where you cut it off short and get the guy at third. Everybody's going to do it differently. Yeah. But it's important in practice to have form those plans in practice, and then when you get to the game, say, hey, we went over this. We're going to pick this option that we created in practice and use it in the game.
Exactly. And if you're a parent, realize that you need to give room for that. That not every coach is going to do it the same way. And it doesn't mean that the last coach didn't know what he was talking about or this coach doesn't know what he's talking about. It just means
different
that
philosophy.
People are doing things differently. Learn lots of different ways to do it. And then, down the road, when your kid coaches something, then they can decide, I liked it when we did it this way rather than that way. Well, but there's room for that.
And different teams have different strengths. So, if you have a catcher and really good middle infielders and you can get the guy at second on a first and third, then go for it. But maybe you don't have that and you can't risk the run at third. So you can't fit the same defensive plays to every team. And that's why you have to figure that out, see what you have with your team in practice, and figure it out in practice so that you're ready for the game.
Yes, I agree.
A good example with the Cincinnati Reds, usually if a ball's down the right field line, the second baseman's going out to be the cutoff. Right. But with our team, Joe Morgan didn't have as strong its arm as Dave Concepcion, so Davey would go out and be the cutoff, and Joe would stay at second. But it comes from communication, from practice and doing it, so that you know that it's going to be a strength for you.
Yes. To add to that, George, and then coming back down on the youth level from 13, 14 to high school, a lot of guys don't know how to double cut. How to run a double cut or what a double cut is, on that up. And you got to continue working with them on that. And one of the things that all you guys have talked about is baseball IQ. The boringest things are the things you continue working on, which is going to help you win games or lose games, if you don't work on them enough.
When you talk about boring things, everybody just want to go out there and swing the bat and see how far they can hit the ball.
Yes, sir.
But like I say, the small things make a big difference. And like I say, the cutoff situation, because you don't want that guy to advance to another base and double cut. But like I say, you got to practice at it in practice, and we have line drills so that when you're throwing the ball to the cutoff man have to know the footwork too. Yes. So as they don't want, back to what Ethan had said, it's static. You don't want to just stand there and catch it. You want to be moving towards the target. Yes. And then now communication, the third baseman say third base or someone tell it. Yeah, right. But you got to also back to that when you're saying 3-3-3-3. Sometimes you got to know because each team may say something different. Yes. And they may say, I got it 3 times. Yes. Or things as such, but you got to be able to know that. And that prevents a lot of injuries. And also, like I say, it helps you to know that you're going to catch the ball or someone else is going to catch the ball. but always being able to back somebody up and talk, communicate, let them know what the situation is. You may end up being wrong, but you're corrected. Now everybody's on the same page.
Cool. Rick, what's the next thing on your list, buddy?
For me, catchers.
Yep.
They see everything out in front.
Right.
So you got to have a leader, man, who can talk. And he's got to think like the manager, the head coach, as far as calling pitches and everything, being able to be a communicator, tell them to cut and hold. They see everything, okay? So communication, again, that's what we're talking about. And one of the main things I do a lot of, I work with my catchers more than anything. Might come in early, work on receiving, dropping blocks, signals and signs, how to work certain pitchers, just knowing the game. And that, for me, that's fun. Yeah, that's fun because, they control everything. And then as they get to high school, of course, most coaches like to call the game for them, but at least you giving them a foundation of understanding the game. So once they get to high school, coaches will start, wow, man, this kid understands the game pretty well.
He's
he
not
knows
afraid
the
of being a
flow.
leader.
He's not afraid. We might give him some little time and then he'll say, well, the catcher is almost like the psychiatrist for the for the pitcher.
Right.
Like, hey man, your two seam, man, let's try something else. And I always tell pitchers is, hey, you got more tools in your toolbox, man. Work on those. Use another tool. So as a catcher, it's very important to have a good catcher and having fun, man. Give them the autonomy to call a game, man.
Well, and if you want them to lead in game, you have to give them opportunities to lead in practice.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
You are a manager. Right. You are in a management position. Your job is to manage them to efficiency, not to
Play
get
it
in
for
there
them.
with them and do it for them because you really love it. I'm glad you really love it. We all really love it. That's why we do it. But at the same time, your job is to not invest yourself into the game, but to divest yourself into other people so that they can be the ones who play the game. That's the point.
Yeah,
And
you're training other people to do it. And like you said, I like the word managing, not just being a manager, having that label, but managing, being active. It's active.
Make them make decisions. Make the kids make decisions. If you're going to, let's say we're going to have somebody running bases. We got somebody running bases. Put 2 guys on base. Put 3 guys on base.
Right.
Yes.
Make them have to make a choice when they take that ground ball.
Right.
Put a guy on third. Put a guy on second, or just put a guy on third. Let the kid run to first. Now that guy hit the ball to third base. He's got to decide whether he's going to try and keep the guy from going home or he's going to go to first. Make them make decisions. Okay, make them make decisions because the more they do that, the more they understand the why. Every kid's got a modicum of skill or they wouldn't be on your team to begin with. Yes, we need to talk mechanics. Yes, we need to talk skill, but we need to make them make decisions and then give them room to make bad ones and then talk about it.
Or make mistakes.
Yeah, and it's okay. That's what practice is for. It's if nothing else, it's a safe place to make mistakes so that you make smart decisions later on.
That's a perfect segue into my last one, which is going over and correcting in-game mistakes.
Yes.
So preseason, maybe you don't have that as much. If it's the same team, maybe you can go over what you struggled with last year. But if it's an in-season practice, you just played a whole bunch of games. You should have notes about what went well, what didn't, and use that practice time to go over what didn't go well so you can correct it going forward.
Yep.
Yes, I agree with you.
Good point.
I have
That's learning.
Yeah, exactly. And I have index cards. So every time I'm coaching, I'm writing notes down on all my players, situations. So when we go back to practice, I know I know how to structure my practice, okay, on the things that we need to work over. So I'm kind of a perfectionist, but I'm developing, okay? Right. So like on these index cards, years ago, I'll go over a lot of stuff with the guys and the certain things that we need to go, or an individual we need to work with on that point. That's part of development, and that's what, going back to what you guys were saying, that's what parents want to see.
Well, and that's an excellent point, Rick, and that every practice isn't going to be exactly the same.
It's not.
Shouldn't
It's
be.
not.
You
And it shouldn't
you
be.
have a base.
Yes.
You're going to other things you want to add too. But the one thing that I found with kids is telling them that I don't know is not acceptable as an answer. Because you would ask a kid, why did you do this or do that? I don't know. I said, I don't know is not acceptable. So I want, even if the answer is not correct, I want to know what you're thinking.
Yes, that's the key right there.
But that gives them a chance. You talk about making decisions.
Yes.
So they got to decide. And there are situations like, say a man on third base, and so now you have the infield's in, so balls hit to first base. I said, I tell the first baseman, what are you going to do? And more times than not, they say, I'm going to go and tag first base. I said, in the meantime, you're losing sight of the guy at third. Right. So this is the key play. I said, get the ball and run at the batter runner so that now you can tag him out and keep the guy at third base.
Yes, exactly.
But I've seen that on the major league level. They go and tag first base and the guy from third ends up scoring.
Yes.
But with the kids, you have to go over it and let them know, and not during the game. Why didn't you do this?
And then
Yeah, right.
Pump fake.
Right. Oh, yeah. I like that one. But small things like that make a big difference in the game situation.
Cool. Well, we've run long on our segment here, but do we have any more that we need to get in? Ones that you guys are really think are really important.
Signs and signals.
There you go. Oh, good one. That's
and
good.
I have a lot of them too, man. That over the years, since I've been involved with a lot of different teams through travel baseball, certain guys' signs and signals are long, certain was okay, and I kind of integrated some of them. I had to dumb down because each team that I was a part of, you kind of find out how kids learn. You know what I'm saying?
That's key.
If they can retain a lot of stuff. With signs and signals, you got to go over that a lot.
Well, it's also learning your team and
Yes.
how they process
Yes,
it
and how they
adapting
process.
the signs
Yes.
to the team.
I was in a situation, I just yell out, go ahead, still.
I've done that before.
Yeah,
I'm like, everybody in the ballpark know that you're fast.
Yeah,
but
because I think one dad came, his son was playing for the team, so the dad's asking the other kids, what are the signs? And we don't have any signs. He just said, go, because it was part of the psychological part is that I'm daring that catcher. I said, go, he can't throw you out, go. And now the catcher's like, okay, I'll show you. And he throws the ball out in center field. But the one that I was going to talk about is, I don't know if you finished, but bunting. Yeah. It's not just bunting, but bunt the ball.
Yes.
So in batting practice, I tell them, okay, we're going to bunt first.
Yes.
I want you to bunt the first, I want you to bunt the third.
Yes.
And then I say, okay, man on first. Sometimes I tell them where they need to bunt, but this time I said, man on first, where are you going to bunt? They bunt the ball to third base. I said, why'd you bunt the ball to third base? I don't know. That's not acceptable.
Yes.
So they learned that there's a place to bunt the ball.
Yes, exactly.
And the third, I said bunting the first, bunting the third, but I said on a squeeze play, this is a delicate one because you don't.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you get a good pitch to bunt. Yeah. But where do you bunt? Third, first. I said no. Okay, where do you bunt so that you have more room for error? Yes. Okay, bunt right back to the pitcher. So if it doesn't go to the pitcher, you're going to go down third or first. But you're not going to get another chance in that squeeze play situation. Yeah. So make it count. But the other one is that hit and run. And kids don't understand.
They don't understand that.
I said, it doesn't have to be a good pitch. Swing the bat. If the catcher can catch the ball, swing the bat. Right. Then it's like I take a deep breath when they said, my bad. I said, you're bad. We just lost that situation. Yeah. Yeah. I remember we were in a championship game, and the guy who's up, my catcher was on first. He didn't have good speed, so it's going to be more like a surprise situation. But this guy can hit the ball to right field well. So even if he hits the ground ball to second base, at least the guy we're hitting, running, moving. So what happened? The guy, I brought them together. I said, "This is what we're going to need to do." And you guys get it? Yeah. So what happens is that now the guy took the fastball right down the middle, and I said, that was the game right there. Because we could have maybe had first and third, or even having a guy at second, so my catcher get thrown out of second. But the parent was upset. Why are you running? I said, okay, it's on me, but it's not really on me. It's on him, Ben. And then the mom had said, don't blame it on my son. I said, no, we're just being able to execute.
Yes,
Go, just do what I asked you to do.
Yes.
My last one would be it's kind of a two-part, but it's pitcher covers.
Oh, we got a two-part.
No. It's pitcher covers plays.
PFK.
Yeah, that's
pitcher covers
one.
first,
That's
pitcher
what I
covers
got.
home.
Yes. I
Make
got
sure
that.
that you when your pitcher's got
No, the World Series. With the Yankees.
yeah.
And Gary Cole said, you got it.
Yeah.
Well, you got to be someplace. That was funny.
Well, that's the thing with your pitcher's got so much going on in his head. What am I throwing? Is my curveball working? He's got so much going on in his head all game long that pitcher covers play has to be second nature.
PFP.
It has to be
PFPs,
something he
man.
does without even thinking. And that is, I see more errors, more costly plays on pitcher covers.
That's a mental error.
Yes.
Yeah. So pitcher covers, and then with an extra little side note of eliminate wasted movement. What are you doing with your body to eliminate the wasted movement? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that way,
Time.
It makes you more efficient. Catchers. Are you don't do the pump fake. Don't do the pump fake,
Yeah.
okay? If you really are worried about that guy at third base, if that guy at third base is so in your head,
Yeah.
oh my God, if that kid at third base is so in your head that you can't handle it, then you take the next pitch and without any warning whatsoever, you fire it to third base.
Right.
Okay? Just
pumping.
fire it to third base.
Right.
And then if that kid knows that you are not going to hesitate to fire that ball at third base, now make sure you can do it without overthrowing him. But, then, okay, now it's in his head that, okay, that kid's not going to hesitate. He's going to let loose and throw that ball.
Right.
All right? So, but pump faking, it just wastes time. It's wasted movement.
Wasted energy.
Yeah,
Yes.
it just doesn't. It doesn't
Yes.
make anything any better. So,
But backing up home play is very important.
Or third.
Or third base, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know that there's a chance that the guy's going to get a triple. You should be over there. Mm-hmm. And once again, and it's the same thing with the left field. You got to be over there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you don't want to be right behind third base.
No.
Have a distance there.
Yeah.
And backing up. I've seen pitchers almost collide with the runner because they're late backing up home plate.
yeah. Could be.
And so it makes a big difference. Even if you don't get the guy at the plate, you may have a chance to get someone who's going to, the batter hitter is going to advance.
Right.
So like we said before, there's a place you need to be.
And this is another excellent reason why it's good to go watch baseball in person.
Yes.
Because you can watch, you don't always get to see, you get to see the camera angle when you watch it on television.
Right.
You don't always get to see what everybody else is doing. So if you are a left fielder or a right fielder, or a whatever, go watch it in person and stick on your guy. Watch what he does.
Yeah.
Watch where he goes.
Right.
Watch why he goes there. What he's doing, whether he's running up the line to back up this person or he's over backing up that person or he's the cutoff man or he's the cutoff man or what's going on. Go see it in person.
Yes.
And because when you see it in person, you can see it all. And you'll learn so much more about baseball than watching it just on television.
I want to add something
Sure.
to that. And I think that kids 13 and 14, they need to go and watch games in their community high school,
Absolutely.
their varsity or JV team. So when we moved to Westchester, and we were playing for a Westchester team anyway, I would take Ricky to, he's in the 8th grade, I would take him to Lakota West, the varsity or JV, to see, since he plays center, like, hey, you're going to take his job next year. But to get him to process, look how they practice and things like that, that'll kind of build that. Because I think more kids need to see how the older players play the game and how they, take care of how they walk the walk and stuff, man. If they don't know it, then, they're just walking in. And I think more parents need to understand that. You playing select or travel baseball, but you need to see what the high school team is doing, so you'll be prepared as a freshman coming in.
Seeing what's at the next level.
Yes, you got to see.
But I find that no matter what you do, it's trying to get an edge.
Yes.
And so I go and watch someone who plays the same position I play and say, okay, what are they doing differently?
Yes, that's
And then as a base runner, I want to see what is that outfielder's doing that's going to give me an edge. Is how he's going to field the ball. Say a left fielder, a ball's down the line. How does he field that ball?
Yes.
But it's back to time, wasted motion.
Yep.
So there's a lot of wasted motion there. So I have a chance from the batter's box. I'm thinking going to second base because he may get the throw off, but it's not going to be accurate or with much velocity. So that now is a situation that I got an edge. I get a chance to advance. Say no outs. I'm at second base. There are many ways that you're able to advance to third. But if you're just standing at first base, I should have gone. You got to know from home plate what you're going to do.
And something that a lot of parents might not know is that you can go watch these upper level teams play, and a lot of times it's free. Yes. Like if you live here in Greater Cincinnati, you can go to Miami and you can watch Miami's baseball games for free.
Right.
You can watch college level playing for free.
Yes.
You can go to if there's a semi-pro team in your area, or like a Florence Y'alls, or an independent league or a minor league. It's even probably not that expensive to go to a minor league game. No. You can go watch the high school. A lot of times it's little to no money to go do it.
Right.
And you can learn so much by doing that. So you finished the season last year, exhausted from all the travel and the tournaments, and you tossed your gear in a bag where it's been sitting all winter. Now you're ready for another year, but your favorite glove that fits just right is an error waiting to happen. The leather's dry, the laces are brittle, and this year you're on a new team with new colors, and it sure would be cool if it matched. Well, wouldn't it be great if you had a glove guy who could help you out with that? You do. His name is Ethan, and he owns Glovehound Baseball Glove Repair Shop in Fairfield, Ohio. Just contact him at glovehound.com and upload pictures of your glove. He'll give you a call back to talk it over, and then you can send it in for a repair, relace, recondition, whatever you need. If you're in the area, you can even just stop by the shop. That way you don't have to bother with shipping, and a lot of times he can even fix it while you wait. Rawlings, Wilson, Mizuno, All-Star, Nakona, he's seen them all, and he's helped players at all levels, from beginners to pros. Last year he worked on a glove that Jose Trevino used in the World Series, and he can help you too. You can find Glovehound on Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at glovehound.com. You're only going to get busier, so reach out today and give your glove the love it deserves at Glovehound. We're going to move on into, we're a little behind today. We're going to move on into our main thing, okay?
Ethan's fault.
We got a little wasted motion going on there. That's what it is.
It's not wasted.
It's not wasted.
Hopefully we're bringing out a lot of good gems here. So what I asked the guys to do this week was to come up with a structure for a 2-hour practice, and I gave them some parameters. I said, okay, you've got a 2-hour practice for 12 to 16 select level players of junior high or high school age, and you got 3 coaches, including yourself. So in a moment, we're going to find out how they did that. But first, what I want to start with is, what are the keys to a successful practice? In other words, how would you answer, this practice will be successful if?
I have a pretty simple one, and I would say the practice is successful if you are more confident heading into the game, because that is the whole point. Is to you should leave practice feeling more confident, more prepared for that game coming up, and regardless if you feel that you got a ton better at hitting or a ton better at pitching, just that you're more ready to attack that game, the next one that comes up.
Cool. How would you answer that question, George? This practice will be successful if
it's organized.
There you go.
You have to have good organization. You got once again, you're managing, and so the time aspect that you want to utilize, but it has to be organized.
Yes.
You can't have kids over there talking about what they're going to do later, but everybody's doing something. And that's the worst thing, is having kids standing around wasting time.
Yes.
So being able to be organized, you can utilize, it can be become quality.
Yes.
Or standing in line waiting to do something.
Oh man, I see that so much.
Yeah, I'm a big one for if you are going to have a line, it shouldn't be any longer than 3 people.
Right.
Yes.
And
Break them up in groups. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
But that's also, to add to George, is being organized. But that is making sure you got the right assistant coaches and understanding their skill sets to be able to break up into groups, so you don't have to micromanage. And I think that is key right there to a successful practice. Also, going over the weakness or whoever needs to work on something, being able to take the time to work with them on that. I think that'll be a successful practice for that kid, because maybe he's like, man, I made that error, or I wasn't in the right spot. Taking them practice to go through that makes them feel a little bit more confident now.
Sure. And if you don't have enough assistant coaches, maybe you didn't have enough people volunteer for your youth league, or there's not budget to hire enough guys in your whatever situation you're in, then you got to use what you have. You have to use players. You have to, a player can hit a fun go bat. He probably hit it better than you can. The player can throw fly balls. A player can do a lot of things. Yes. You're not asking that player to give instruction necessarily, but they are the one facilitating the drill.
Yes.
And you can do that with players if you need to.
Front toss or whatever you need to do.
So, Rick, this practice will be successful if what? How would you answer that question?
I guess for me, just making sure that we go over the situational stuff that we probably struggle with. And that's because going over that's going to help you win games or be in games. So I would say that would be a successful practice for us.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to start with you on the walk us through your structure of a 2-hour practice for 12 to 16 players, junior high or high school age, using 3 coaches, including yourself.
Okay. So one would be like dynamic warm up and toss. And this is with catchers, okay? They'll work on receiving drills, bare hand with mid rapid fire, blocking drills, transfer and throw drills, fielding bunts, angle drills, inside outside pitch setup. And then we'll be hitting. So each practice would be a little bit different, because one practice, if we're working 2 days a week, one practice might just be all defense or pitching. The other might be offense and other things. So, but it will have everything in there. So as you see here, I have a lot of some might be tagging up. Start at first base, start at second base or third base. Bunting and tee work. We'll work middle away. Pitchers during hit, they might work on PFPs, working on backing up bases, bullpen. And one of the things that I do with our pitchers, and I've been doing this for years, that after they throw a bullpen, they do sprint work, either 5 sets of 20 to 30 yards. And a lot of people don't know that. You can do long distance, but sprint work, man, it's about explosiveness.
Right, fast twitch muscles.
Yes, fast twitch. Also, you got to field bunts, too. You got to get off the mound to field bunts. So, outfielders, when to come up throwing or just field the ball and get it in, tracking the ball off the bat. A lot of communication cutoffs, So, I might have new players that we have to spend more time with versus kids that's been on the team long. So, you have to know how to split your practices up to make sure bring them up to speed to how your philosophy is and how you teach the game. A lot of stuff of base running. And so I have a lot of different things how I do practice within a 2 hours. So again, it does vary. So
are you communicating with your coaches once everybody arrives at practice, just before practice? Are you distributing things that are written?
We might send
an email.
We'll send that. I'll send out an email, and we'll go over. We might call each other up, and if they got any questions, they'll let me know. But it's pretty straightforward. The first meeting, we'll talk about philosophy. Okay, A lot of the guys I kind of knew who they were. Some, I asked them, okay, what's your strengths and what's your weaknesses? What do you like to work on? And then you kind of form that bond. And then as practice goes, when you break up your team, then okay, this. Hitting wise, the funny thing about it, this one time I had 3 coaches plus myself. The good thing about it, I have 2 lefties and 2 righties.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
That works a lot, man.
Right.
I was like, man, I had 2 lefty dads that could throw BP, man, and you're righty. So what it does is it make kids make adjustments as they move on. Of course, I threw harder than everyone, but it allowed kids to make those adjustments.
Brag, but fact, yeah.
Yeah. So, and we would there's so much, man. Pitching drills. We'll go over slow motion drill, flat ground drills. Depending on, we might only throw 20 to 25, depending on where we're at in the season, especially indoor, and then build up. And then I would break down how many guys I would pitch that day. Mm-hmm. Those guys that didn't pitch that day, they'll pitch the next time or practice. So you kind of split the pitching up a little bit.
How do you keep everybody doing something? In you got 2 hours to fill. You got 12 to 16 kids to work with. How do you keep them all doing something?
Setting a culture, setting a philosophy. So when our guys came into practice, they knew to do band work. They knew to do foam rolling. They knew how to stretch their hips and everything. So then when everybody came, it was like that. I never had to say
horse playing.
No, it wasn't. It was focused, man. There was focus. And that's, when people look at that, it's like, man, you guys look like you're in college or high school now.
Well, it's the difference between just coaching a team, as a dad because your son's on the team versus building a program with a mind towards the future and a mind towards development.
And I think that's because that, circling back around, being around mentors, okay, or guys that we coach to get against each other and watching them, but being a mentor. I think Mark Hostaggy was a great mentor for me. My son played for about 8 years. Even though Mark played at Xavier and, all the things, I understood, and he was just like me, very organized, man. So it worked hand in hand how we develop players and stuff, and our players move on, and by the time they're freshmen, 9th or 10th grade, they're already playing varsity because of the structure that we had. And so having coaches that understand structure was very what makes your program look good. It do.
And the thing I like about your rundown there is you just gave so many different options that you could plug into a practice because you're not going to have the same practice every week. Most of the teams I played for practice, and I played for a different team every year, select ball, which was unfortunate, but it was what it was. But more often than not, practice was get there, do a little warm up, throw, and then everybody go to their position, and we rotate one guy in to hit while the coach does batting practice, and you just rotate in until everybody gets done. And if the guy at the plate isn't up, he's not doing well, he's not spraying the ball all over the field, you're just standing there hoping he hits the ball to you. It was horribly inefficient, but that was the most common practice that I participated in, and it happened all the way up till I was 17 playing in a pretty well-known program here in Cincinnati, and we were still doing the same stuff that I was doing when I was 12.
Well, the coaches need to be more accountable and understand that there's a responsibility of being a coach. And you're out there to help grow the kid, help develop the kid. And just standing around and not doing anything, it's not helping. And they're not really learning anything.
No.
So it's like, what can you teach them that particular day to help them get better, not only in the game, but life itself? Because I always stress learning life skills through baseball, through sports. So if you're not out there trying to challenge that kid, as I tell players today, challenge yourself.
Yes, sir.
When you go up to the plate, challenge yourself. The guy got 2 hits that day. He was 2 for 4. He had a home run, then hit one off the wall. I said, that's good. Now, better your best or challenge yourself for the next game. But like I said, with the coaches, they just feel that, well, I'm a coach of this certain team. But right away, you take on certain responsibilities and being accountable for what you do.
Yes.
So walk us through your practice, George. What you got?
I try to keep it simple, but Rick's very sophisticated. But I like but I like what he had because once again, he's very organized and he knows what he wants to do. And with me, the one thing I really stress is being positive, telling the coaches to be positive. When you're talking to the kids, being positive. Yes. I don't want any negative vibes going here and using, you try to be funny, but making sure that it's not tearing the kid down.
Yes.
It's just finding a situation that he's going to be successful. Mm-hmm. So having coaches, if knowing this guy's going to throw batting practice or doing the running drills. And so if the coach is not doing exactly what I want him to do, I don't call him out. I say, no, that's not what he worked on.
Yeah,
so I go and talk to him and say, no, let's change this. Yeah. So I don't want to embarrass him in front of everybody else. So we're all on the same page. Yeah. So it's back to in the beginning, we want to run. So from home plate or maybe sometimes we run all the way around the field and get your legs loose. And then I want you to stretch. A lot of times they're not loose, so I select maybe 3 or 4 guys to do different exercise, so everybody's going to participate. So I have a good stretch, things as such, and then we're going to throw, and make sure we throw long, and then just start using the correct fundamentals or mechanics. Then we would take infield practice. So now during that period of time, we're doing situational play, and then after the outfielders throw, then I have them being the base runners. So that now you're knowing, okay, now you actually have simulate a game situation. Yes. So now the infielders knowing, okay, I would say 1 out, and I hit a ground ball, 1 out, a man on second, and I hit a ground ball to third. So it's like seeing what he's going to do. He's going to look the guy back to second, or he's just going to just throw to third, or throw to first base, and the guy advances. So being able to do that and get the infield practice and everything done, then now we go into stations. So we have station doing soft toss, doing bunting, and so that now we break that all up. So each coach will say maybe doing the bunting, and a coach going to do the soft toss. But with the soft toss, I have 2 players or maybe a player at third, player at first, and at home, and the coaches are soft toss, so they hit into the outfield. So now they get a chance to be active and playing in a playing situation, so they're catching fly balls and ground balls, and we do that, so it rotate in that aspect, and we do, like I said, the bunting to the side, making sure that they're not just going through the motion as far as bunting. There's a purpose. You have a quality as for what you want to do. And last but not least, we have the running. So they're going to, run from first to two from first to home, 2 from first to second, third. And then I say, okay, now here it is, the finality. So you're going to run you're going all the way around. Yeah. So I remember back in, I was teaching or coaching Babe Ruth 16, 18. And it was an extra inning game. And the guy hit a ball that he should have got inside the park homer. But he stopped himself at third because he didn't have the stamina to go home. So with my guys, I said, we're practicing what may happen in a game. I want you to be able to go out. I don't want you to get tired or fatigued at third base like you're carrying that piano from second to third. So I want you to be ready to go. So that was the outstanding part. Because they realized that running, coach, I said, you got good speed, utilize that speed. And I'm not telling you to do something I didn't do when I was almost playing in the game. Right. Yeah. So that's basically what I would do in a practice. And after practicing as a team, I would have maybe 1 or 2 guys come by themselves, so we're going to work more on the hitting aspect or throwing aspect. But being able to take each individual and make sure that they're doing what they need to do, and then now we bring it together.
Yeah. And I like what you said there at the beginning in the idea that you're adding runners. Again, we're talking 12 to 16 players. You only need 9 on the field at any given time. So when you add runners, you make them make decisions.
Right. Yes.
They have to make decisions if there's a runner involved. If there's not a runner involved, then it's just field it, throw it, field it, throw it.
There's no urgency.
Yeah,
right. I like that.
Well, there's no variation. Yes. There's no if I pick it up and throw it, oh wait, something could happen. Maybe I need to walk this guy back. Or
identifying the runner. If it's your catcher, you got more time. If it's your center fielder, he's pretty quick. You got to.
It's one thing to field that ball and throw it to your to your first baseman who can freely come off the bag and deal with it.
Right.
But if he's holding somebody on, now he's
Right.
got to stretch for it. And now you got to really be all right on with your throw about it.
One of the things, our goal was to tell the players, we practice like it's a game.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
That's how I learned.
Yes, practice like it's a game.
Well, the other thing is there's no set of cookie cutter things to use. You'll find yourself as a coach, you will have to develop and create drills.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, like I watched a drill on YouTube the other day. It was rather ingenious. This is a guy at the college level, and they were trying to cover all of the funky extra plays in one shot. So he had the pitching machine would throw one in the dirt, and the catcher would block it forward, pick it up, throw it to first. As soon as the first baseman caught it, he'd throw it on the ground. Coach would hit a fungo to first base. He'd pick it up, throw it to second base to the shortstop, who'd throw it back to the pitcher who was covering first, who then at that point in time goes back and the pitcher immediately throws one to the side to simulate wild pitch. Catcher goes after it. Pitcher comes home. And this was all one giant drill.
Whoa.
And I'm like, I mean, you talk about a lot of moving parts, but it all happened at one time.
Well, but we talked about this.
It's what he had to do for his team.
Keep it simple.
There's a fine line between being ultra efficient and being a little bit ridiculous. And to have one guy waiting and observing the drill, I think there is value in that. It's not necessarily detrimental if he's observing, because he can pick something up from watching somebody else do it. So
true.
Don't be afraid of it, but also have a mind towards efficiency.
So I mean, you may have to develop some drills, and you
got to slow it down, so they can see, absorb it.
And you may try drills and they just don't work, and that's okay.
Right.
So you go, all right, guys, that didn't work. It was better in my head than it was on this. And that's okay.
Be honest as a coach.
Thank you.
And tell them
I think that's the key thing, because I laugh. I like, nah, that ain't gonna work.
Don't force it. Yeah.
Right. You can't force it on.
But some things look great on paper, but when you involve 12-year-olds, then
But one thing I want to touch on that both of you mentioned in different ways. You had mentioned the culture and you had mentioned the attitude. When you have a good attitude and good vibes in the practice, you're going to get better quality reps because the kid wants to participate. If they don't want to do it, then they're not going to give it their all. So that attitude and paying attention to the overall vibe and the culture of how you practice, how you play games, it's important because it's going to dictate the quality of your practice.
Sure will.
When I signed playing pro ball, you're thinking that everybody know what they need to do, but you find out they don't. But I wasn't trying to impress the coaches, but I was trying to get myself ready for a game situation. So during batting practice, I'm playing batting practice like it's a game situation. So then later on, the walls were paper thin and at the hotels where we stayed. So the guys were talking about, well, that George Foster, he's everywhere, But they're just standing there, if the ball came to them, they may catch it. But I'm playing the game, playing practice like it's a game, because now it gets me ready. So I'm getting a good jump on the ball and knowing, okay, now I will, in my mind, say, okay, man, on second base, what are you going to do? What a fly ball is going to hit to you? So now when the game does start, it's automatic, it's an instinct. But other guys just standing around, they're not really practicing or honing their skills, trying to get better. If the ball came to them, that maybe they'll catch it if it's right to them. But I always had done that.
Well, you had an interesting situation too in your career, because you'd played, you came up with the Giants, and you had you kind of taking your lumps and earning your spot and kind of working yourself in there. You came to Cincinnati. You got your shot to play every day, and then that started. You're part of a team that just a legendary team group of guys who are all great team players and wanting to support each other and be a great team. And you won 2 World Series doing it. Yeah. And then you go to the Mets, where you're the first brick in building a new team.
Greg, why'd you bring that up?
Well, no, I brought that up for a purpose. In that
we talked about this.
In that you're there now, and you're bringing this work ethic from this great team that you were part of, and you're showing up, and all of a sudden you're finding out, we're building a new one, and you're the first brick. So then now what do you do?
Well, the thing is striving to get myself together. And then there are other guys that I work with that say the team would go on the road and they would stay back. So I worked with the guy, and the guy went 5 for 5 that game. And I forgot to tell him, don't say that we work together. Because once he said that, now the batting coach said, well, Foster should spend more time getting himself ready. But I just felt that they didn't really know what they wanted to do. And so I'm coming from a winning attitude or atmosphere to a team that's trying to put it together. But I'm thinking that everybody wants to win, and they're going to do things to help enhance that chance. Yes. But with the guys, the teams that are on the bottom, you know why they're on the bottom, because they're not working on the quality things. And with the Mets, we go out there and have a great practice. Say we were 2.5 hours, and the next day maybe it's an hour. Well, the manager said, you guys did a good job the other day, so we're going to award you. You don't have to do it as much. But for me, I love taking batting practice. So after a game or after practice, I want to take extra batting practice. But the coach said, no, you come in tomorrow, and because they had a tea time, they don't want to miss their tea time.
I see.
So you didn't have that same dedication.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I said, this is really different. And people would ask, if you had to do it all over again, what you do? And I said, yeah, but I would try to encourage Ken Griffey Sr. to come with the Mets, getting somebody who knows how to win. It's a challenge playing with someone who do not know how to win.
Yes.
And when the general manager said, well, we're going to start making trades or moves on this team, we want to bring in guys who want to win. And I said, I said to myself, wouldn't it be easier to teach the guys who are here how to win? But no, it's just that attitude.
Yeah.
You want to get a guy who had that attitude and that want to win and knowing the things that they need to do, the commitment they need to make. And I remember Jesse Orozco, this guy pitched forever.
Yes, he
and this happened to me. I was in the minor league, and I will always go out and do my run and get loose and do the things to prepare myself for the game. Then one day I said, nobody else is doing it. And a couple of days I went out there, my legs were sore, my back was sore. I said, what am I not doing? And I said, you got to get back to doing those fundamentals, get yourself prepared. And that, in a sense, that saved my career, because you can easily pull a muscle. And in the minor leagues, say next, because it's not for sure a guarantee you're going to be there.
Right.
So I told Jesse was watching these other guys. He said, they're not running. I said, you got to be accountable for yourself. And I don't know that because what I said helped him, but I knowing that, okay, what can I say to this guy that I feel is going to help him? But those legs, I said, not everybody. I mean, not just for you, but everybody. Legs are important, but especially for a pitcher.
For a pitcher,
you throw with your legs, not your arm.
That's it.
And like say, he had a great long career.
Well, that was an interesting thing, because during that period of time, both you and Griff are in New York.
Right.
He's with the Yankees and you're with the Mets. And was he experiencing some of the same things that you were, just on a different team? Well,
in his case, he had more backup, I guess. You had a Don Baylor, a Dave Winfield. So you had other Mattingly. So you had guys who had a lot of skills. And in my case, guys were just starting to, like John Stearns. He was there,
catcher, wasn't he? First
catcher,
baseman.
And Huey Brooks. But the other guys were just starting to learn. So they hadn't been in that winning attitude as of yet. And so it's like I'm the one guy. I'm the guy that's going to take them to the promised land. But I laughed about it because I thought I could.
Yeah.
I said, this is going to be a miracle year, but we didn't. Because everybody it wasn't a team, from the coaching staff to the players. So when Frank Cashin came from that winning attitude from from Baltimore at the time, and so we started to fill in guys. Keith Hernandez came over, Gary Carter came over. Darryl Strawberry started to develop. So you start to see it come together, and I was looking forward to that, because I said, wow, Gary Carter's here, Strawberry's here. I'm going to be behind Hernandez or between Carter and Strawberry. I'm going to get a lot of fastball to hit. No, you're batting behind Carter and batting sixth. But I'm thinking I'm going to be batting fourth. So there's an adjustment I had to make. Yeah. But with the Reds, you have guys, Hall of Famers, and also, so it's a different attitude, and it's a big adjustment I had to make.
Yeah, imagine.
Well, that's something I'm really excited with the Reds, bringing in Terry Francona, somebody
Yes.
who's been there, done that,
A leader.
Going and getting Gavin Lux, who he's won a couple World Series. He's got that experience. And we were talking about last year, they would play this commercial where they would interview. It was about the players, and they were who was the manager?
Bell.
David Bell. And it was Jonathan India and a couple other guys. They're like, we love David Bell. Super laid back, whether we win or lose, he doesn't put too much pressure.
Bad commercial.
And they kept playing the commercial over, and it was supposed to promote David Bell. And I came in after they lost when I said, if I see that dumb commercial one more time, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm sick and tired of them losing, and then seeing a commercial about how David Bell doesn't care if they win or lose.
How they were losing. Like I say, it's just lethargic or lackadaisical. It's like, come on, you got to be more aggressive out there. And you see situations that they didn't take advantage of, hit and run or bunt the guy over, go
Simple
from first to third, or things as such. And I look at the manager, I look at the coaching staff. They're responsible for those guys.
Yes, they are.
If you're gonna let the guy, you hit like Frito, not to call him out, but if he hit a ground ball to the pitcher, he just jogged to first base.
Oh man!
So I, as a coach, I would tell the kid, I said, "You're out of the game." He said, "Why?" I said, "You're not hustling. That's the number one thing. You got to hustle."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, right back to the pitch. I don't care. I want you to run hard, because there are times that he may make a bad throw, and you could have made it there. Yeah. But it's also the main thing is what are you showing as a team? You got to look professional out there." Mm-hmm. But they let that happen. Mm-hmm. And so now everybody else felt, it's okay.
On your best day, your best thing that you could do is inspire somebody to want to be better.
Right.
You can command it all you want, but it's not really going to take until you inspire them to want to be better.
Exactly.
Inspiration is far, far more powerful than position power. And when coaches rely specifically, I'm the coach, I say so,
Right.
this is how we do it, you're limiting your own success. Yeah. If you're the kind of guy that says, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run all the way out to that fence, and we're going to hurdle it, and then we're going to run back. And they're like, yes, coach, whatever you say, here we go. Yeah. Because they would live and die for you.
They'll run through a brick wall for you.
If they would live and die and do whatever you ask them to do because they believe that you've inspired them to do that, that's
creating a culture.
But that's a successful formula for life.
Yes.
It's not only to help yourself, but inspire somebody else to be better.
Absolutely.
So that each person does that, see how it's going to grow. Everybody's going to get better and better and believe in themselves. Because with a kid, you talk to them, doing things to help them start to believe in themselves and having that confidence and having that commitment, knowing what it is. And I mean, that's when I coach, I said, by our winning and everybody played, that's a winning situation. And if we lose and everybody play, I still feel that it's winning because everybody got a chance to play. Yes. Kids don't sign up to sit on the bench and watch. Right. They want to be out there, go out there and participate. So I'm not going to select, say, 16 guys on the team because they're not going to play much. So I have 12, so everybody get a chance to play.
Yes. Ethan is more than my podcast partner. He's my son. And like every baseball parent, my first priority was his development as a player. Every year, we'd start out with a new coach and a new team, making new promises, only to end up playing the same old tournaments with little to no practice in between. You know what I'm talking about. That's why I'm so thankful that we found MD&I Academy. I first met Coach Rick over a decade ago when Ethan was just a kid, and I'll never forget the relief I felt watching his first lesson. I knew right then that no matter what team he played for, my son would have amazing, consistent instruction from someone who cared. Rick has trained baseball and softball players at the select, travel, and even college levels, so I knew that Ethan could continue his excellence through training approach for his whole baseball career. He learned hitting, pitching, catching, fielding, and more all in one place. Most of all, he learned to love the greatest game in the world and how to play it with character and integrity. MD&I is a first-class facility with plenty of tunnels for hitting and pitching instruction that open up into large areas for teaching fielding, base running, speed, and agility. They even have a weight room for strength training. So if you're wearing yourself out running all over town to multiple teachers, Or worse, you're counting on that new select coach to actually develop your child, you need to check out MD&I Academy today. Go to mdaiacademy.com and contact Coach Rick to learn how you can get all the baseball instruction you need from someone who cares about your favorite player as much as you do at MD&I Academy. George, so when you're talking about developing specific skills in practice, obviously you can't develop all the skills for all the kids every time you get together and practice. So how do you determine as a coach, all right, we got a practice coming up Tuesday, we played yesterday, and some things went well, some things did not go well. How do you set that experience up before anybody ever gets there for success?
It's just planning, knowing what you need to do. But back to, I would maybe have that one kid that come earlier, come later, so that now he's up to par with everybody else, so that now he's not really standing out. Yeah. So, like, say the crow hop, per se, knowing that he's having a challenge, doing that, he's going to be embarrassed if he's in front of everybody else. Mm-hmm. So have him to come earlier, come later to work on that, so that now when everybody else is doing it, now they say, well, he feel confident that he can do it. Yes. So, but whatever skill that he needs to work on is trying to have him by himself, so he doesn't feel embarrassed.
Right.
And so he can feel relaxed out there and feel that if he's not doing it correctly, he has time to do it. And nobody else is out there laughing at him or talking that, well, you should know how to do it. But I found that some of the guys, you see that their skill level overall is good, but there's something that's missing. If it's the running part, the footwork, or catching the ball. A lot of kids, they just feel like I said earlier, catching the ball they only put emphasis on catching it, but it's how you catch the ball.
Exactly.
And then talk about four-seamer. Okay, I want you to throw on top. Yeah. But a lot of them throwing sidearm. He said, it doesn't matter how I throw it as long as I get there. I said, no, it makes a big difference. And I don't want you sometimes to throw it all the way in the air. I want you to one hop. So you find that it's going to get there sooner. But they always want to throw it all the way, try to show the arm. I said, you got to hit the cutoff man.
Right.
But having that kid to come earlier, we could either go through it physically or just talk about it. Let him know what it needs to do. But as a team, we may all, once he knows that, do that drill. Yes. Do it over and over and over again, so it becomes second nature. And the same thing is bunting. Kids were like, I don't want to bunt. But like say right away, I said, if you want to be a team player, that's what you need to do. But knowing that some kids don't want to do it, but they say, if I don't do it, it's showing that I don't want to be a team player. Mm-hmm. And someone just go through the motion. I said, no, you do it again. Let's do it again. But I don't. Then like running the bases, I said, there are certain things I want you to do. Run through the base. A ball is in the infield. Run through the base and look to your right.
Yes.
And someone will not do it, and some don't. I said, I learned from in spring training with the Reds that if you don't run hard, you're going to do it again. and they're going to call you out, bench or false. You guys didn't run hard, so everybody runs again. So they're looking at you and calling you different names. I mean, call you out. But I was smart enough because I had a 3.8 grade point average in college, so I was smart enough to run against Ken Griffey Sr. So they knew that I couldn't outrun him, but it gave me inspiration to at least try. From the beginning, from that starting, by the first 5 yards, I was there. Then all of a sudden, he's gone.
How often would you meet, and how do you go about communicating with your coaching staff?
As far as the coaching, we'll meet once or twice or something. It wasn't nothing, because I think that collectively we're on the same page. Yeah. So I kind of before the season, I would go over my philosophy. And the thing about this was it was a difference from travel baseball to MD&I. So with MD&I, the coaches, their kids were already coming to me for training. Mm. So they already knew the philosophy versus with our Westchester Sluggers, Bandits, Midland, and Riverbats. We'll talk a little bit more about, certain things, because those are programs, some of them I was taking over. So we would talk more. With this here, it was pretty simple. It's pretty fun. So that's all I have to add to that.
Well, and with your note card system, that is an excellent point in that it's awfully hard to be making notes during a game if you're calling everything from the bucket.
Yes.
So the more you can divest into your players to be doing, the more you can actually be observing it and figuring out how to take the team to where it needs to go, rather than making all the calls yourself.
And I will add something to that too, because coaching those other travel teams to MD&I was a different type of player. It's more developmental. Mm-hmm. So I had to be a little bit more hands-on in making sure that they did develop the baseball IQ, because remember, those were kids that were playing rec, while 1 and 2 was playing select, but at a silver level, and then now coaching them to play at a different level, at a higher level, versus the kids before were already more experienced. You know what I'm saying? So different. But I will tell you this, when I learned a lot from coaching at the travel baseball and playing all the top teams in the country, versus now using that experience to get kids to understand the game. And then it takes a little bit more patience, and it's funner too, I have to tell you. It's fun.
So when it comes to MD&I versus coaching the other teams, seeing so many of those players for individual instruction, did that allow you to adapt your team practices to be more team focused and take the focus away from trying to address every little thing for each player?
I agree with you on that. Yes, it did. And it made it easier too.
I would imagine.
Because then that's why I said the coaches that were dads that were bringing them, it made it easier because they understood. So I didn't have to micromanage, look over like George was saying, hey, man, you're doing something wrong. Didn't have to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A couple of things to wrap up here with regard to parents. Some questions that you can ask when you are looking at a new team. Don't be afraid to ask, so how often do you practice?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. How many coaches will be at the practice? How often do you will you give us any information? Will we receive any instruction on what we should be doing outside of practice?
Or the experience of the coach.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask,
Yes.
What is your main position? Because when kids are, say, going to college, I said, ask the coach what position did he play. And if he were a catcher, I said, he sees both sides of the game.
Yes.
If he's a pitcher, then he's not going to be as patient with the hitter. So you got to really focus on the pitching aspect. So don't be afraid to interview the coach.
Sure, yeah.
That is the key.
And key questions that will tell you a lot about the coach's philosophy, regardless of what's on the literature that he hands you. Does the catcher call the ball, call the pitches?
Yes, that's a good one.
You.
Are you teaching catchers to call the pitches? Do you divest yourself into the kids? I mean, how often do the kids make the decisions versus are you given the signs, or are you trying to train the kids so that at some point in time they make their own choice whether they steal the base or not?
Yes.
Or how much playing time will my son get?
Yeah.
And what positions are available? Because your son is a shortstop, and okay, now you already have a shortstop. So where is he going to play second, or will he get much playing time?
Yeah. What I would want to hear from a coach in that particular instance, if I'm asking about playing time, I would want my coach to tell me, well, look, a lot of things factor in the skill of the player, how hard he works, how good his attitude is, how much he's a team player as opposed to out to play for himself. If he starts to tell me these kinds of things, then I know that he's looking for quality of an experience. He's not just looking for the kid who throws hardest to play that spot.
Attending practices.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are kids that I wouldn't. They may not start because they didn't attend the practice. I don't feel it's fair for kids who are attending practice not starting.
I don't want
earn your way.
I don't want my kid out there working his tail off and then sitting on the bench because someone who just had more natural talent is playing and then screwing off all the time and showing up late and not really caring and whatever. I want to know that there's value in that hard work and that ethic in going on. And those are things you can ask a coach. Those are things you can totally.
But don't be afraid or reluctant to ask the coach.
Absolutely.
And if the coach is giving you an answer you don't like, you need to go try another team.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And then the other thing is also if you're into the season, okay, and things are not going the way that the coach had told you they were going to go because the coach had a really great plan and he's a good guy and he's working hard, but then things just start coming apart and you're about, halfway through the season and all of a sudden we're not doing those practices anymore and we're not really, we're not staying up with all that stuff we said and we're not, then don't be afraid to ask, hey, what happened to this? And will we get back to that? And, you gave us this and it said this, are we going to do that? So, that's fine. But then also volunteer to help with things. Volunteer to be part of the solution.
Yes.
How can I help? Is there anything I can do? And then if you end up if the coach is like, oh, thank goodness, somebody asked to help. Yes, here's what I need.
Right.
If you could, and even if it's just, can you, type these things up or send out the emails or help me with, whatever, anything you're helping. Now, if you're helping and those things still don't get any better, and you're just being used for cheap labor, then that's, you got to cross that bridge too.
Yes.
But, it's not always that your coach has an ego problem. That isn't always the problem.
That is true.
Sometimes the coach is overwhelmed. He's working a job, he's raising a family, he's doing all the stuff you're doing, and he's trying to figure out how to run your kid's baseball team. And so if you say, hey, coach, how can I help? That works. One of the things that I taught Ethan early on about working a job for anybody, anywhere, you get hired. Okay, there's everybody in the company has a luxury that the guy who owns it doesn't have, and that is the ability to say, I don't know. Everybody else can say it, okay, because if everybody in the place you say, well, why didn't this get done? I don't know. Okay, well, guess who has to stay late and do it? The guy that owns the company.
Right.
That's right. And so he's going to go, so if he's looking at you and saying, all right, all I'm getting is I don't know from this person, you're not a help. Right. He's going to move you down the road and find somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So if you're going to answer it, say, I'm not sure, but I'll find out. I'm not sure, but I'll work on that.
That's a great
I'm not
point.
sure, but I would love to, I don't really know what's going on or what's, not going well with the team here, but I would love to be a part of the solution. How can I help?
Yes. A step back about coaching, a lot of times I'll make sure that maybe my coaches end up not coming or getting there late. Yeah. So I want to make sure, how would I run the practice by myself?
Yeah, you're right.
So you got to be prepared and show that organization.
Yes.
Because the other day I had a clinic and there were 5 kids were going to come there, and already in my mind saying, okay, we're going to have different stations.
Right.
So then I found out half an hour before that the guy wasn't able to make it. So now I had to go to plan B. What would I do now by myself?
Yes.
So being able to make that adjustment as a coach. And we talked about earlier, okay, we're doing a certain practice, but now it's not what I want it to be. Let's go to something that's going to be quality. But back to you say, divest to invest. Yeah. So being able to, what time can you put into it to make it more quality and not sit back and complain about it? Yeah. What can you, like you say, you want to be part of the solution. Yeah. And not part of the problem.
Because you get to that halfway point, man, and things start coming apart, and it is just so easy to sit in that stand and just complain.
Yes.
Because it's what everybody wants to do. Because you feel powerless. You feel like there's nothing you can do. You're you're halfway into the season, you can't really leave. You're stuck riding it out. It's not going the way you wanted it to go. And now, gosh, all you do is want to complain to each other. Yeah. And my solution is just really try and dig in and be part of the solution. Yeah. You can't always do it. It doesn't always work. But, man, you're modeling that for your kids. You're showing them that there's something better you could do than complain.
That's why at the travel baseball level, earlier career, we were trying to win championships and stuff like that. And then when I left Midland and went to Riverbats, and then after Riverbats, I said, man, you know what? I'm going to start something a little different, a developmental program where I can take everything I learned and develop and just get regular kids and not worry about wins and losses. Right. And develop their game to where if these kids want to go and play in high school, I'm will have you
getting them
prepared for high school and above. And so then I remember some of the emails I got, and I sent the email out to the team. It was like, hey, it ain't about the wins and losses. Don't focus on that.
Right.
Focus on your son getting better.
That's winning, developing.
That's winning right there. And that was the win-win for me. When I have two guys on the bench telling me I gave the infielders the wrong sign, that's when I'm like, oh man, good fist pump 'em, man. Like, man, you're right.
And winning becomes a byproduct of developing good quality players.
That's it.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
No,
sir.
not you.
Yes.
I love that word, byproduct.
Yes.
Because you go out there and develop the kids, then the byproduct is winning.
Yes.
A lot of these kids, a lot of these parents said, my team, or the coach said, my team. It's not really your team in a sense you're managing. And when I see a kid go out there and do well, because when we won the championship, I love the fact that everybody got to play. Yeah. And everybody was a part of it.
That's it.
Instead of some kids sitting on the bench, they may get a ring, but they're not really.
They're not part of it.
I guess the one I can really identify with in '72 when we lost against Oakland A's, and so I didn't really feel a part of the team. I mean, we're in the World Series, but I didn't feel a part of the team because I wasn't participating. So, but now I'm out there participating, I feel that I'm a part of the team and I brought some value to the team. But I try to put myself in the shoes of the players. I said, they want to play. And last but not least, when I was coaching, I said, everybody's going to play. And so this one kid, he saw his name in the lineup because they didn't believe me because a lot of other coaches would say the same thing. So he saw his name in the lineup and said, Coach, did you make a mistake? Am I playing first base? I said, yeah, you're playing first. Really? I said, yeah, you're in first base. So, but you could see the excitement on his face. I'm going to get to play. Yeah. He's not just lip serving, and he's actually out there going to let me play. And I said, yeah. But I tried to find the best position that he's going to be successful at and going from there.
Yeah.
Level swing. Let it travel. Wait for your pitch. Be aggressive out there. It's no wonder young players get confused at the plate. What if your son or daughter could learn not only how to hit the ball, but also where to hit it, when to hit it there, and why? George Foster has played baseball at the very highest levels. He was the National League MVP when he hit 52 home runs and 149 RBIs in a single season. He led the major leagues in home runs twice and RBIs 3 times. He was a 5-time All-Star, a Silver Slugger, and he helped the Reds win back-to-back World Series. During his 15-year career, George developed a unique approach to hitting that made him one of the greatest hitters of all time, and now your favorite player can learn it too. That's right, baseball legend George Foster is currently accepting new students. Learn the psychology of hitting, situational hitting, hitting for power, bunting, and more. Every team needs players who can hit, and George explains the game in a way that's easy to understand and exciting to learn. So check out GeorgeFosterBaseball.com to learn how you can apply for private lessons with a member of the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. Spots are limited, and the roster will fill up fast, so don't wait. Apply at GeorgeFosterBaseball.com. All right, so I'm going to wrap us up here a little bit, reminding us, again, the key with coaching or with practice is inspiration. And inspiration begins with the letter I. What am I doing that is going to inspire somebody to want to do more? That they've got to see it in me if they're going to see it in themselves.
Right.
Exactly.
And
so
that's you care.
You care. Yes, you care. That's it.
When I'm putting together a practice, when I'm trying to figure out how that time schedule is going to go, what skills, what drills, what things we're working on, what things we're going to tackle this time. Okay, I'm trying to keep in mind that the goal is to inspire the players, and that when they get in the car, after it's over, they can say, I learned this. I did this. Yes. This made me better today.
And looking forward to the next
Yes,
practice.
that's the key.
And if you're going to have 12 kids on your team, then you should be planning to win a game. You should be planning to win games with 12 kids.
Right.
Yeah. Meaning that you've got a reason. You didn't just pick up 3 spares. You got a reason to do that. And so you're going to involve everybody in that practice. You're going to make them make decisions. You're going to add runners when you have drills, so they have to think and they have to make decisions for themselves. And you're going to divest yourself into them to encourage them to do more and more of the playing and the running, what goes on the field. And that's the key to solid practice, not necessarily doing the same thing over and over again, or doing the same thing every time you get together, or doing something.
Have a purpose.
Yeah, because you saw it. And then one last thing I would encourage coaches is don't be afraid to go get training for yourself.
Right.
That's fun.
Yes.
I mean, my goodness.
Or
we can
ask.
all learn. So
Yes.
there are trainings that go on all over the place. Go sign up for something. Get a training. I know Rick does trainings. I know these guys are going to be doing some coaching training coming up. Make sure you go and you're constantly building your baseball knowledge so that you're becoming a better coach as time goes on.
You're not limited.
As you learn new things, you're going to be excited to share those new things in a practice, and it's going to inspire the players. So
Exactly.
I hope you've enjoyed our discussion about practice today, and we're going to be back here next week doing the same thing, and we hope that you would join us for another Complete Game podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the Complete Game podcast, the show that's all about baseball. New episodes drop each week, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. If you'd like to support the podcast, consider leaving us a 5-star rating. Or better yet, drop us a comment or a question and let us know what you think. The Complete Game Podcast is produced and distributed by 2 Creative Digital Marketing. Check us out at 2creativedigital.com. On behalf of Ethan, Coach Rick, and the Silver Slugger George Foster, I'm Greg Dungan saying have a great week, and we'll see you real soon.